It's always sad when you have to depart with your sentimental furniture pieces that have filled your home space for years and become a part of you. But with the retro furniture trend currently taking the decor and design world by storm, one can maintain a classic style and add a modern twist.
Another big trend we're seeing at the moment is a looking back at the past, and some people prefer to call it vintage or retro. And I'm sure we've all seen the styling going towards that, from motor vehicles through to fridges, through to sofas, but specifically in the interior design industry and decor industry. So why is this? Why all of a sudden do we have this heartfelt need to buy things that look like our grandparents? Well, it's quite simple. And again, it's about this backlash to mass production. We in our heads believe that things were created and manufactured better in the past. We have an appreciation for dated styling, for retro and vintage styling. So we're looking back at the various elements, furniture from the 50s that had the wooden frames, in the sofas, for instance, and the chairs. These are suddenly part and parcel of what we're living with today. We have an appreciation for the way in which they were manufactured, and I think the time that it took to manufacture these items. But then we see it in the prints as well. So when something starts off as a trend, it might sort of embrace itself in one aspect, but it certainly then starts to linger out in a multitude of things. So we see it in fabrics, we see it in prints, we see it in art, we're seeing a revival of pop art, we see it in lighting. In fact, there isn't an area where we're not seeing this attention to retro styling.
Designers are getting their inspiration from the past and combining it with modern detail to bring it up to date. Modern patterns on all the pieces are also a great way to stay on trend and create a whole new design style.
What influences my vintage designs is my love of mid-century furniture and all things Scandinavian. I think it's really stood the test of time. I mean, some of the real mid-century pieces are 50, 60 years old and they look like they were designed and made yesterday. I also love it because the focus is on well-designed and well-made, and that's what we try to replicate in our vintage designs. Well, vintage keeps reoccurring because I think it really is, it's timeless. It's never going to date. I also think it adds a bit of quirkiness to an interior. Also, I think, our clientele has a World Wide Web and they have access to kind of what's trending worldwide. Most interiors that are featured in magazines all have a vintage piece here and there, so they're wanting to replicate that. And I also think there's that bit of nostalgia, maybe it reminds them of granny or parents that, they had that piece and now they've got something like a newer take on it. The materials we use in our pieces, the timber pieces, we mainly use oak that's oiled. That gives us that Scandinavian, very natural look which people are after at the moment. And on the timber pieces we often introduce a bit of Juco, like on our dance sideboard, which just breaks the woodiness of it. And obviously with the upholstery we use a lot of kind of fabrics for our couches and patterns for cushions and chairs.
Adding furniture pieces such as a clean-line sofa or retro-inspired chairs can lighten up a room to give it life, and the addition of bright color can also add a sense of fun to a space. It's always a great idea to keep your large furniture pieces neutral so that they stay timeless. You can then use color on your accessories such as cushions and paintings. Greys and neutrals are great colors to use for your bigger pieces, and colors such as navy, blue, teal and yellow can be added to your smaller furniture items.
This is a great example of a piece of furniture that's going to be on trend for the next couple of years. This is a sideboard, and as we can see here, it's got two tones. We've got the natural timber, which is good quality oak, and over here we've got a high gloss finish. So we've got a combination of painted finish as well as timber finish. Also, looking at this piece, you'll notice that it's in a Scandinavian and almost retro kind of styling. Very much a mid-century piece, but with a modern take on it. The modern take obviously being the high Juco and the combination of the two materials. What really caught my eye about this piece of furniture was the attention to detail. If we were to open a drawer, we can see how easily and beautifully the drawers open. They're all on high sort of quality runners, so you don't get that jagged feeling when you're opening the actual piece. Also inside, you'll notice that the wood grain has been continued. So often with pieces of cheaper furniture or pieces that aren't well crafted or imported pieces, you'll notice that the attention to detail on the inside hasn't been carried through to the same extent as what you see on the outside. One of the most famous aspects of Scandinavian furniture was the simplicity as well as the geometry. And we'll see by this piece, it's very geometric, very clean, very simple. And if we were to look at just the base, that in itself is tapered down and very light. It's almost as if this entire unit is floating. It doesn't look heavy like a lot of modern furniture with big, heavy legs. It's classy, it's slick, and it's light. These coffee and side tables that I'm standing amongst are very reminiscent of 1950s design in a variety of aspects. This is more of a modern take on the 50s design. As you can see, the two colors. We have the Duco surfaces, either in the gray or in the avocado, and then we have the wood finish. So that in itself has just freshened it up a bit and made it a little bit more current, even though the pieces look to inspiration from the past. You'll also notice the teardrop designs. In the 50s, a lot of furniture was based on the sort of circular and angular sort of shapes. And here we see it brought through, but again, it's got a modern twist. It's not taking an old piece and just replicating it. It's taking inspiration from the past and making something new and fresh. Here we see a silhouette of a chair that's been around for many years. Silhouette, you may ask. In furniture design, just like in fashion, we refer to the shape of an item as a silhouette and not as the shape. It's just one of those on-trend kind of phrases. But here we see something that has been around, again, from the 50s, from the 60s, and it just hasn't died. This is a modern take on it. And in this chair, look how it's almost formed. There's no loose upholstery. The upholstery is almost like it's molded into the actual shape of the chair. The arms are fine and delicate. And as far as detailing goes, a simple stitched line like this is all it takes to make it good design.
Design producers are supporting local talent whilst creating eco-friendly furniture that boasts class and sophistication.
We try to minimize our carbon footprint by producing all our furniture locally. Our factory is very close to the showroom, and we employ obviously all local people to produce the furniture at the factory. And where possible, I also like to support local designers. Like we use Skinny Malinks for a lot of fabrics for cushions and chairs, and design team who's based in Pretoria.
To keep up with the retro trends without breaking the bank, you can buy cushions that have a retro print, or you can add a retro-inspired wallpaper and artwork that's got a retro feel to it. It's essential not to overdo it though, keep it eclectic, and remember to add your own style and personality.